Georgia couple is sentenced to 100 years behind bars after adopting two young boys to repeatedly rape. The dads even installed cameras throughout their family home to capture this ongoing sexual abuse. If that wasn't enough, though, they posted the images and videos online so other predators could view these horrifying crimes. I mean, we're talking about two young children who are the victims in this story, which unto itself is heartbreaking. But it's an added layer of depravity when we consider that the bad guys in this story are actually the boys' parents. A family's home is supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be a place where the kids can trust their parents and feel at home, but instead, first responders call this a house of horrors. That's a direct quote. Take this as your trigger warning because right now we're going to dive into those details. The parents in this case are 34-year-old William and 36-year-old Zachary Zulock. They're a married couple out of Walton County, Georgia, which is just east of Atlanta. We're not revealing their sons' names to keep the boys' privacy, but we can tell you that right now they're ages 10 and 12, and they were adopted by the Zulocks through a Christian special needs agency. Outwardly, the Zulock family seemed to have it all. William worked for the government and Zachary had a job in banking. Their home was upscale too in a nice neighborhood of Loganville, Georgia. They posted pics online that were smiling, happy, basically looking like they were the picture-perfect family. They even have a photo wearing shirts that say, "Love my family," with the rainbow flag in support of Pride. But behind this facade, there was something much more sinister. Now, the investigation dates back to July 2022, when the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's Exploitation and Computer Crimes Unit got a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. According to this tip, child sex material was traced to an IP address in Walton County, Georgia. That's the same area where the Zulock family lived. But the person behind this address, it was actually a man named Hunter Lawless, who was caught downloading homemade child porn onto his computer. Lawless fessed up right away, though. He admitted to the crime, but he told investigators it wasn't him who created these images. Instead, he said the person behind this child porn sex ring was a man named Zachary Zulock, and he said Zachary had sent him these images and videos, and in the past, offered his sons up to Hunter Lawless. Just a quick note here, Hunter Lawless pleaded guilty to sexual exploitation of children and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. His arrest also led to the arrest of Luis Vicaro Sanchez, who was eventually charged and sentenced to 60 years in prison. Meanwhile, the investigation pointed back to the Zulock family. Inside their home, investigators collected 7 terabytes of child sex material. Let that number sink in. A terabyte holds 1,000 gigabytes. That's anywhere between 200,000 and 500,000 pictures. Or if it's video, it's 500 hours. That means these dads had more than 3,000 hours worth of child pornography recordings of their own sons. And if you want to quantify that in photos, we're talking upwards of 3.5 million pictures of two young boys now ages 10 and 12. Investigators later revealed that the dads set up security cams in their own home, like how we see nanny cams or ring cams inside of our home, but these cams weren't used for security reasons. Instead, they were used to record the sexual abuse that was taking place all over the home. Investigators say both parents repeatedly raped these boys and recorded it with video or photos, but that wasn't all. They also admitted to all of these crimes in texts and social media messages. Investigators say the men would brag to their friends, saying they planned to have sex with their sons, and then they would follow up after they carried out this really disturbing act. Both men eventually admitted to this, saying to investigators that they sodomized the boys and forced them to perform oral sex on both parents. Here's how the charges broke down. William Zulock was charged with 6 counts of aggravated sodomy, 3 counts of aggravated child molestation, 2 counts of sexual exploitation of children, and a couple other sexual offenses. Zachary Zulock was charged with 2 counts of aggravated sodomy, 3 counts of aggravated child molestation, 2 counts of sodomy, 3 counts of sexual exploitation of children, 2 counts of pandering for a person under 18, and other sexual offenses. Now, William pleaded guilty to all these charges back in August, and Zachary pleaded guilty to all but 1 charge. That didn't work out for him, though, because he took it to a bench trial and was found guilty there. Just this month, both men were sentenced to 100 years in prison without the possibility of parole, meaning they'll spend the rest of their lives behind bars.